up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre, Tutorial, Zero Views. Back in here with one more video. Guys, you looking at the title of the video, you looking at the thumbnail, you know exactly why I called this meeting here today. We must get active. Now, guys, over the past 4 or 5 days, I can't count the amount of times I've received emails, Instagram messages, all comments in my comment section in regards to going over recent allegations regarding Derrick Jaxn and that he has been accused of cheating on his wife. I believe the YouTuber is Cashapp, which came out with information exposing him by one young lady. I cannot remember her name, but essentially she had all of these receipts, right? Dates, text messages, videos that had been done at certain portions of their fling, all right? And it all culminating with him eventually blocking her. And then, you know, a year later, she's coming out with all this information. Now, you guys have been asking me to go over this. And let me tell you right now, the reason I have not gone over this yet is because I talk about this on my channel all day. And I think far too often, so many men are guilty at the point of accusation. And you guys already know a component of my story on this channel and things that I've gone over before is being wrongly accused of something can be extremely damaging to yourself in your business, but also to yourself as a man. So I take things like that very seriously. This is not a gossip channel over here. We don't sip no goddamn tea. We like to look at things with a critical and cerebral lens. Now, what I will say, getting information to cancel culture someone based off of a gossip site is not generally something that I feel appropriate in doing. And I said to myself, I want to wait until I see the other side of the coin, the other side of the situation. All right. Because even with the information that the accuser was saying, I was like, there's some holes in that story. Okay, he's sending videos to you years in the past, no telling where his marriage and or relationship was at that time. All right. He automatically just blocked you. So here's the thing. As a content creator, as I am right now, like, you know, I'm gaining a little bit of influence. And I'm saying to myself, let's say I started to engage in a fling as I am married. Would I want to do something to piss someone off, like block them out of nowhere, who I know has receipts on me? I mean, he's not a dumb guy. It's obvious he built that empire. He's not a dumb person, and that just sounds dumb to me. So there's some things that just didn't make sense to me. So anyway, he recently came out with a long video kind of explaining from his position everything that kind of went on. And he had to do this, right? This is different than manosphere content creators talking ish about him, which he doesn't ever need to come back. You know what I'm saying? But this accusation directly undermines who his character is and the business that he developed. So he needs to do damage control. And looks like he has a video that's 30 minutes in length of damage control. Anyway, let me shut up. Let me get down in there and I want to try to assess it the best way that I know how. So without further ado.
First things first, man, it's going to be, I'm already knowing, I can already see in the comments, there's about 3 groups of people in here. The first group are what I call the bloodthirsties. The bloodthirsties are people that don't like me, never like me, been waiting on something, didn't even wait. Matter of fact, over these past 9 years, they even created a couple of things to try to get me caught up or try to have something against me. And now there's something semi-legitimate that has come out or come forward. So those people are here. And I want y'all to know, because I know, and I'm also not going to be speaking to them. Those people that hate me no matter what, hey man, you're entitled to whatever, but I'm not speaking to you. The second group of people, which is probably the minority of people, those people are those on the opposite extreme. Derrick can do no wrong. I don't care what Derrick is. Well, I won't say necessarily that's group number 2, but the Derrick can do no wrong is absolutely false. Okay, I deserve to be held accountable. If I did something wrong, I'm not above no law. I'm not above getting checked. That just is what it is. Make sure that for me or anybody else, you're not idolizing nobody. All right, if you separate the man from the actions or whatever the case, that's fine. But I would rather you just kind of decide after you hear me speak. Let's see here. The third group is who I'm going to be speaking to. And that's going to be the people that say, D, you know, I find some value in what you do, whether I'm a supporter of your books, your videos, whatever, I find some value, but I got questions about where you're coming from with this stuff that you speak. You know, I got questions. What's going on? Do you walk it like you talk it? Do you practice what you preach? So for that group of people, totally fair, legitimate concerns, expectations, questions to ask. Do I practice what I preach? I'm going to be talking to you guys tonight. So thank y'all all for being here. I think we've kind of caught up to that 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central time mark. So let's go ahead and get started. Now,
A couple of quick things that I'm noticing outside of his terrible camera quality. He's very nervous. He's very nervous. I've never seen him move like this as he's doing a video. Usually it's just in a car and he's just like this. You know what I'm saying? All of that motions and stuff like that lets you know that his heart rate is extremely high. He doesn't feel good. He doesn't feel comfortable. And he said something that's semi-legitimate. Pay attention to the words.
now you're probably asking yourself, why did I make this about my book, Heal Together Without Hurting Each Other? You know, do I really need a publicity stunt for this? Do I need help selling this or anything like that? The answer is no. Of course, I want to get this into as many hands as possible, and I'll let you know why. But this book is a part of what I preach. Don't forget your crown, part of what I preach. The videos that I post, part of what I preach. In order for me to qualify, me letting you guys know whether or not I practice what I preach, I'm gonna have to reference the books. And the most recent one is Heal Together Without Hurting Each Other. And especially what we're gonna talk about tonight is directly related to why I wrote this, what I put in this, okay? So
Such a
it probably,
businessman.
for those that are just getting in, I see, somebody said slow
respect
down
it.
mode. Is it glitching? Anyway, let's keep it going. So everything really started back, honestly, when I wrote this book, Don't Forget Your Crown, and what I wrote it about. Me and my wife, we got back together in 2016. Now, what throws some people off about that is that we were messing around having sex before we got back together. We got back together, I think, in August of 2016. Later in 2016, August, September. We conceived the baby in January that was born in early October. You do the math if you want to, right? Now, I got roasted up and down, and guess what? I totally get why, because that's a shaky foundation. We had a baby, we wasn't even prepared to get in a relationship. Me knowing that this is a woman that I wanted, I went ahead and got down on one knee within a couple of months. It wasn't just because of the baby. I really was like, I've been unhappy doing my thing with these other chicks or whatever. I know this woman, her name is Danae, by the way, is the one that I want. Fast forward, of course, that's a shaky foundation, trash foundation. Two people just riding high on love and emotion and then being new parents right in the very beginning of a new marriage. That brings me up to some of the issues that we had that led to Heal Together Without Hurting Each Other. Heal Together Without Hurting Each Other is a biblically based manuscript game plan on how to let God restore your relationship or restore you, no matter how much you've been hurt in the past, broken you are, etc. Okay? So
Not gonna lie, what I just heard from that is that I have a business and you're having a baby, and it would destroy my business if we were not married. Maybe I'm being cup half empty by listening to that, or pessimistic, but that's kind of what I heard right there. But let's keep going.
Heal Together Without Hurting Each Other talks about how to have your individual journey and how the journey is really not a journey, it's a fight. It talks about all these different things. Now, why did I even write this book? February 1st, this is something a lot of you did not know. February 1st, me and my wife separated. I'm talking official separation. Before that, we had like an unofficial separation. You know, I'm not at the house, she's not at the house, we're not talking, we not blah, blah, blah. February 1st is the official, mutual, I said, look, I don't think this is going to work, separation. We had some challenges before that. February 4th, I gave my life to Christ. I said, God, I can't handle this. I need you to come in and help me out. That was on February 4th, the exact same day, Danae, my wife, she packed up the kids and left the crib, went 1,500 miles away to her mom's crib. All right. Fast forward, because I'm trying to get to the point. I know what a lot of people really want to talk about, some of the stuff that has been swirling around or whatever, right? Fast forward a couple of months. In those couple of months, we were working on the marriage. Hey, maybe we can make this work. We're praying. We're going to church about this. Now we're both in Christ. She was already a Christian. I'm a new Christian. And it's not working. Nothing that I implement is working. Nothing that we're having in these conversations is working. Basically start losing hope around, I would say, May. Then we had a disagreement about whether or not to even have the kids here at my place or, up there with her mom. Matter of fact, let's do some fact checking. If somebody wants to pull up my YouTube channel, you can see in the earlier part of 2020 where I'm doing my videos, what you'll see is I'm in Airbnbs up in Denver. I was flying back and forth over and over again, right? And again, guys, people in the comments, I told y'all the bloodthirsties are here and they're gonna try to dominate the comment section. Ignore them, all right? Anyway, even with all of that being said, I'm flying up, we're meeting with pastors, we're doing this, we're doing that, things are not working. Around May is whenever we started losing, both of us started feeling, mainly her though. And then we had an argument about where the kids were going to be, whether they're going to be with me on this date or her with that date. And then lawyers got introduced. Shortly after lawyers got introduced, I realized she wasn't wearing her ring. Shortly after that, as we're continuing to talk as much as possible, we stopped talking. Most of our conversation is in text message. And then we have a conversation. When we do have a conversation, she's letting me know, whatever you need to do because you're not my responsibility. I'm not linked to you. We are together, but right now I understand if you got to go out and do whatever. Now, with that.
Just real quick, this is all 2020. Corona decimated marriages because now you're forced to be next to each other. Look at each other. Let's keep it rocking.
What spoke to me was, I don't care if you're going to be with other women, et cetera, et cetera. But that wasn't my green light. My issue was this. At that point, I had a beef with God. I gave my life to Christ on February 4th, 2020. Matter of fact, some of y'all that follow my Twitter may have seen me a couple of weeks ago talking about how I just hit my 1-year mark. I gave my life to Christ and my whole life fell apart. My marriage fell apart. At this point, I'm not seeing my kids. I'm helping people best I can, but that's not giving me fulfillment. I got money, I got this, that, and the other.
Wow.
And I really honestly just went to a place of effort. Just screw it. I don't care no more. I don't care about being a good man because look where it's got me. I don't care about serving God because look where it's got me.
Wow.
Right? That was in May. I would say June, conversation is slowing down. She's waiting for a lawyer to get back to her. And what I'm getting to is the point where I hit rock bottom, because I did hit a rock bottom, and where God pulled us from. And then this is how all of this came to be. June, we talking about my birthday. She basically lets me know there's no plan for her to be around on my birthday. Okay. Now I'm in screw it mode, F it mode. I'm hitting up old chicks. I really don't care at this point. I don't care about my reputation. I don't care about the business. I don't care about any of that. One of those people was a girl named Candace. She's from Florida, Orlando, Florida. Girl I'd have known, at least been acquainted with for a couple of years, right? Last time I think I seen her was back in 2016 before me and my wife got together. I hit Candace up. I'm going to come down to Miami. We're going to kick it. I'm going to get a yacht, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the thing. And we're going to do a Q&A right after this. Here's the thing. So me and Candace have had a sexual relationship without actually having sex all of these years, right?
What?
So we go hang out. We're on the yacht. We're doing our thing. Friends are there. We come back to my Airbnb. Everybody's having a kickback. She leaves. Everybody leaves. My boys leave. She leaves. Everything. She comes back the next day because we're going to go out to eat. And for some reason, she needed to use my charger first thing in the morning. I didn't really find that odd. I didn't think nothing about it. What I didn't know was Candace was taking pictures of my feet. Found that out later.
Wow.
Okay. Next thing I know, we kicking it, we chilling. We actually go meet up with one of her friends at a brunch spot. We leave there, and what was it? A couple of weeks later, I'm like, look, I'm about to do something for my birthday. Do you want to come out? Got her friends out. Long story short, her friends and I would say about 25 to 30 people. We having a mansion party. We tripping out. I'm smoking. I'm getting high. Still no sex. But she wants to use the bathroom. She wants to go and use my charger whenever we did the house tour with a couple of people. She wants to stop and do this, stop and do that. I didn't know what was going on until later on, that the entire time she was trying to take pictures of me as I'm walking in and out. Okay, I didn't know that, right? Cool.
Just a couple quick things. Sexual relationship without having sex. It's interesting. So what is that, sexting? Like, what exactly does that look like? And there's another thing too. When you get to this level of influencer, of stardom, you just never know. I mean, someone that you can know from 10 years ago can be plotting on your demise. I mean, that's what I think that he's trying to bring up. I would say to a degree, I think he's particularly authentic outside of his nervousness and like all of this crap that he's doing as he's talking, which is very new for him. I've never seen that out of him before. So, but let's keep rocking.
Fast forward to, I'm talking to my mentor because at this point, I'm not feeling where I'm at. I'm breaking down. I don't want to do anything productive. If you look at my videos from, what was it? If you look at my videos from June, about June 10th to September 10th, you'll see me post about 2 to 3 times. Talking to my mentor, I basically just had this whole meltdown about nothing is satisfactory. God don't love me. My wife is rejecting me. I'm not able to see my kids. And something that he told me basically changed my life. And he said, D, the reason why you're not happy, the reason why nothing is lining up the way that you want it, is because you verbally gave your life to Christ, but you didn't submit your life to Christ. You verbalized it, you said it, you accepted him, but you didn't walk with him. You didn't walk in according to his word. You're still holding on to some things, okay? That was probably, I think, July 27th or something like that. My wife is getting ready to come back in town. We haven't had much further dialogue about the divorce or anything like that, but we haven't rekindled anything. So at that point, what I decided was, okay, the marriage is done. But in order for me to have an opportunity to have this happiness or have this fulfillment that I'm looking for, I have to come into alignment with God. And that means even if my wife is ringing off, totally not talking to me, even if whatever, I won't even say depressed, but really in a bad space, even if whatever, in order for me to really connect with God, I got to clear some things out. So I threw away my liquor. I threw away every bit of other things that I was using. I cut off everybody, Candace included. Now, I won't say I gave an explanation. All I said was, this ain't right, and we don't need to talk again until this divorce is final. The whole time we have been talking, I was letting her know, hey, we're separated. I'm just doing my thing. I'm chilling. I'm kicking it. All that other good stuff. Which, by the way, I'll be honest with you. I won't necessarily say I recommend. I believe I preached on it. Somebody fact check me. Whenever I've talked on this subject, my whole dialogue has been that you don't want to deal with a man who's separated because he may still have feelings for his wife. And he may be lying to you. In my case, I definitely had feelings for my wife, but I thought we were over and I wasn't lying. So am I practicing what I preach? I guess so. So anyway, I sent her that text message. I blocked her on everything. In the past, what I would do is, and this is what caused a lot of issues even in my marriage, I would mostly cut somebody off. I would end communication, but I wouldn't cut it. I wouldn't completely obliterate. I wouldn't completely close every door to that part of my life. All right. It was only on that day, and don't get me wrong, this wasn't immediate. It was only on that day where I started seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. My anxiety is not nearly where it was. Me not wanting to do this, not caring to inspire anybody, not nearly where it was. Even in terms of me and Danae's communication, she still went forward. By the way, I wish I had printed this out because I believe you can actually search this. She filed for divorce. Some people may say, "Oh, Derrick, was the separation really real?" She filed for the divorce. The lawyers were in. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go to my email. Trey Sauls is my lawyer. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me see.
Trey Sauls.
Hold on.
Oh, Sauls. I thought you said
I don't
Trey
know.
Sauls.
It's not showing.
You can't see. It says Trey Sauls.
You guys see the date? Okay, you can't see the date. I should have studied how to do this. I've seen some questions in there. I'm gonna get to the questions right after. Appreciate you guys. I'm gonna get to the questions right after. Anyway,
you know what? Let me just pause this real quick. Let me just real quick. Okay. His story, there's something about the way that he's articulated himself that I think that it makes me feel a little bit bad for him. I mean, because think about it for a quick second. The fame, the money, the this, the that, the perceived value of what your relationship is, and he's still wrecked. He's still wrecked inside. He's still tortured. There's something about him that's still not happy. That he has all of these things from an outward perspective. A lot of people look at him and what the things that he's achieved, and you would say, damn, I at least want to be on that level to be able to do the things that he does and move into spaces. But he's still a shell. He's still a hollow shell that has a family and a wife that wants to divorce him for whatever. He didn't even go over any of the situation in the past, but you just see someone who was absolutely crumbling in 2020. You understand me? And to have this happen at the culmination of 2020 because of some lady that he thought that he can trust when she was down over there doing some hood booger ass ish. You can't trust him. Can't trust him. Always trying to squeeze you as an opportunity. People will be people. We talk about it all day. I feel ultimately a bit bad for him. You could tell, you could tell he's been through some ish. Let's keep it rocking.
At this point, she goes through and she files for divorce. And yes, this entire time, I'm sitting there breaking down. I'm sitting in my marriage is trash. Even though I'm not posting regularly, I haven't completely stopped. So if you want to say like, Derrick, that's, you tripping for not coming forward and saying that your own marriage is in shambles or whatever. That's what I definitely did. But she filed for divorce. I believe it was officially filed on the 28th of August. But by the end of that month, we finally, coming into alignment with God's way, finally allowed for us to start having real conversations.
Listen, at the end of the day, Derrick Jaxn can't make it work. I don't think the majority of men on earth can make it work. You understand me? Or does that go in to tell you that, that from a results perspective, from an outcome perspective, a lot of the things that he talks about doesn't really mean much when it comes to dating and relationships, right? I mean, at the end of the day, he's a human. He's never said that he's perfect. He's flawed, just like the majority of us. But from a results perspective, you would expect someone who's to be able to coach into good marriages, would be able to have one in of it itself. But I wonder if a lot of this has to do with the way that this started, which seems to have been by an oops baby. Let's keep it rocking.
It's like, you can kind of depend on the way that you want to do things. You can kind of depend on what you think is going to be best, your own intellect, your own knowledge. But what I said in this book, and this is how it all ties in,
business.
It wasn't until I learned that I can have all the knowledge in the world, I can have all the intellect in the world. But whenever you're in a spiritual covenant, when you're in a covenant with God, you can't do it by your own judgment. You can't do it by your own thought processes, your own reason, your own logic, right? That was the end of August. I believe it was about a mid-September where we ended up at the same church event, and the pastor was willing to see us in the back after church and all of that stuff. And we basically had a one-on-one with him. And that's where we decided we were going to take divorce completely off the table. Taking divorce completely off the table was such a huge turnaround because just 2 or 3 months prior, she wasn't talking to me. We weren't talking. And I'll let her talk for herself if she's able to come down here in a little bit. She's putting the kids to bed. She's a strong woman of God. She has her own voice. But we weren't talking, weren't doing anything, right? And here we are taking divorce completely off the table and now talking about our future again. So in that time, with godly counsel and with putting everybody back where they're supposed to go, because both of us had let some outsiders in. Candace was only one of mine, but my wife did too, and I don't think it was other guys. I'm not trying to insinuate that. But outsiders were allowed in, something that I talked about in Don't Forget Your Crown that you're not supposed to do. I'm referencing this because this is what I preach. So wisdom is one of those things that you can either listen to it, heed it, or not. Either way, you're going to eat the fruit of it. That was in September. By the end of December, me and her, I'm talking about crushing the honeymoon stage. Crushing the honeymoon stage. Now, what had to happen in order for that to go down? Well, first off, there was a complete purge of everything that was not of God. There was a complete submission to God. Some of you may look at my YouTube videos. Anybody in the comment section, you may be able to peek. that since August, I haven't cussed in any of my videos. I haven't said Team Jaxn was happening. Why is that? Because my platform is not my platform anymore. I completely have come into the submission of Christ. You may look on Twitter and see certain things that I've said, acknowledging Christ, acknowledging God. Now, these are just like small, I guess, evidences, but since August, the beginning of August, I would say, not only my marital life, not only my internal peace, but even the impact that I'm having on people, not just in dating and relationships, but now in marriage, completely skyrocketed. So that's only a piece of my testimony. That is according to what I've preached in my books. That is according to what I've preached in my videos. I am absolutely cool with being held accountable. I have no problem with that whatsoever. And I have no problem saying what I did was wrong. But let me be very clear. In dealing with that girl, while I was actually separated, a couple of weeks before the divorce was filed, it wasn't wrong necessarily according to my old logic. Why was it wrong? It was wrong because I was in a covenant with God, and I only was making a contingent based on my wife. I was only making a contingent based on what she said. Well, we're not dealing with each other. Well, she's not meeting my needs. And in that, I think anybody is kind of setting themselves up to fail. Even if the divorce goes through, I had to get to a place where no matter what, I'm honoring my commitment to God first, my wife second, the marriage second. And that's with the marriage completely gone, her all but guaranteeing that she was out the door. So that is the gist of it. Like I said, guys, if you look in the comments, you're going to see the bloodthirsties. They really don't care. But the whole Derrick got caught cheating in his wife's bed is BS. Complete BS. I'll own up to anything that I did, and I deserve to be held accountable for anything that I did. If I was living a double life, it was trying to encourage people when I was discouraged. It was trying to help people build healthy relationships when my relationship was dismantled, disheveled. I absolutely did that. So at some point, I guess we'll get a fix for that. But let's go ahead and go to the comments. Okay?
All right, I'm going to get into the comments. I'll let the comments play just to see if there's any other nuggets that we can find. But he's going through his story. And I think so it sounds like the majority of the things that the lady said, Candace is her name, I guess, accused him of, seems like the majority of it is true. She actually was down in there. They actually were hanging out. It seems like they probably actually did have sex. He didn't say that specifically. But again, I go back to what I think is actually happening or what had happened. And what I see here is a man that's currently or was tortured by his particular decisions to get married at that junction. But it's someone who had made that decision on account of the business. Guys, let me give you guys my perspective. From a content creator's perspective, what can happen is that the information that you are delivering to your audience becomes a part of who you are as a person, becomes a part of who your persona is, regardless of how your individual self might evolve past the content that you talk and or speak about. And then there's some people that come in and are just completely separate from the content that they speak about, and they actually create a different persona and then speak as this actor to the audience. So for someone that was preaching one thing and then had a baby, right? And then thought that in order to make sure that what he's preaching here was maintained, got married to said person. At least that's the way that I am understanding the things that he's saying, like trying to peel back the onion of the things that he's actually saying, right? And then maintaining this relationship, and then the relationship started to crumble for whatever reason, and then he started to slip back into his old ways, but then started to uncover that it wasn't making him happy anyway. Plus, it probably would still affect or impact his business downstream at some point. He probably understood and realized all of these things, right? So then in an attempt to bring back his persona back to that homeostasis of the marriage, they went on a path towards God in talking with his pastor. But at the end of it, things are starting to get better. And then the original lady comes back into the picture and throws up all of this information with all these receipts up into the air. So what you see is a huge amount of damage control. Huge amount of damage control. Real quick as well, before I get back in it, do I think that this will adversely impact him? No. I think that he can, because he's already spinning it in terms of the reasons why he wrote the book, right? As to explain some of these things kind of away. It seems like to a degree he's accepting a degree of accountability for the choices that he made at the end, or what he thought was the end of the marriage. I think it would be really important to see his wife talk about this, to get her side of the story, analyze her mannerisms, her body language as she's going through and recounting the story as well. I think it'd be really keen in order to be able to do that. Really important to be able to understand that as well. Listen, we are all products of our environment. There's a lot of us that make things up about ourselves in order to continue on, a particular lifestyle. And, it gets even more complicated when there's a degree of a brand that you associate with. And, a lot of people all across the internet thinks that to a degree that he panders to his particular audience, and then it's not a degree of realism in what he's saying and the way he actually lives his life. Even looking at, he's a tall dude, swole as hell. And his wife is, from an aesthetics perspective, I would think that he could get a lot better. But then it goes back to, well, did it fit with his brand, or, is it because of the oops baby and like all of these different things that you have to be able to consider? But because it seems as though he made some certain business decisions, he has to live within that. But you could see as the relationship started to break down, it was beginning to tear him apart. So he resorted to things such as, bowing before God, getting up all of the drugs, the alcohol, spending fast, living hard. Okay, that's what I see here. But honestly, what I also see is just this is the most realistic I've ever seen him. He's just being an authentic dude right here to a degree, a very nervous and authentic dude with a lot on the line. Okay, to a degree. Let's keep it rocking.
Let's see. They're kind of moving fast. I don't know if you guys can even hear me.
Hear you.
Let's see here.
My G, you've been
Somebody
talking
said,
the last
why did
20
I ghost old girl? Good question.
Because that's risky,
So
Derrick.
I texted her, what we're doing ain't right. What we're doing ain't right. We don't need to talk again until this divorce is final, right? So for me, my own logic, I could definitely go about saying, hey, just so we're in the right path of things, just so your feelings aren't hurt, I want to let you down easy, I want to do this, that, and the other. But that's not biblical.
Oh.
That's not biblical. That's according to my own sense. That's according to my own logic. Now, if I had it my way, what I would do is, instead of letting her down easy or not ghosting her or anything like that, I just wouldn't have texted her to begin with.
Okay, now I see some bullshit. My bullshit alarms are going off. My bullshit alarms are going off, Derrick. You almost had me. You almost had me. Jesus. It's not biblical. You shouldn't have ghosted. Listen, you don't want to just you pissed her off. She got angry. She got her emotions. She got her in her feelings. Listen, at the end of the day, she could have been planning to do that all along. But I'm saying from a reduce of your risk perspective, if you just ghost somebody who you think who's been in and around your space, they might do something to you in order to try to get one up on you. This is chess, not checkers. I think you've learned your lesson, but it's not biblical. Okay, I see what's going on here. Are you using God in order to explain away your actions? How dare you, Derrick?
Wouldn't have reconnected to begin with. So I'm fine with being wrong for that. Let's see here. But I'm a big proponent of, especially since I came in full submission, that you cannot save everybody else's feelings, especially when it's at the cost of somebody who matters most. You can't go sparing everybody else's feelings. You can't go giving 2 weeks notices. I gave a message to basically say, and I didn't basically say it, to say, I'm not going to talk to you until this divorce is final. And I cut it right then. After that, I just have to accept what comes with it. Let's see.
Yeah, I think it would have ended up better for you if you just didn't block her out of nowhere. If you just had a conversation, if you had some communication with her, right? I think it would have ended up a little bit better. Okay, this is a life lesson for not even just an influencer such as him, but like any of y'all in y'all life. You know what I'm saying? If you you invite a lady over, you end up having a bad night with her, like for whatever happened, miscommunication, right? Like, if you end up like just blocking her or treating her like ish on the way out, of calling her an Uber, like never try to leave a situation under bad faith. Try not to, because they can go back, they can talk with whoever, they could get depressed about it, and then people want to get revenge. They want to exact revenge on you. What are you doing to reduce the risk of some bullshit happening to you? And this is a direct example of what can happen. All right.
Here. So why run to the next when you're not over the ex? I absolutely agree. And let me make something clear. What's up, babe?
Oh, she gonna come on?
Want to come in? Oh, okay. You can pull up a chair if you want to.
Oh shit! Sit down, lady. She's there. You can see in that YouTube thing in the background. She's moving around. Derrick, after all of the success, you can't get a goddamn good camera.
No, I did not sleep with her.
Oh, he's saying he did it.
I never slept with her. Our relationship was sexual in nature from day one. I've been acquainted with her 9 or 10 years or something like that. And it was like through Twitter. But I did not sleep with her. Why I did not sleep with her? Honestly, I'm not even going to say I was on some type of vibe like I feel like, oh, my values are this. I want to make sure I'm respecting vows. At that point, I wasn't even thinking much about the marriage. I was on some rebellion to God type stuff. I was on some screw it all type stuff. I didn't sleep with her or anybody for that matter because I got to get deep. I'm not able to perform when I'm super stressed. I didn't even have confidence that I could do something in that capacity. That's why I hit her up instead of somebody that I had actually had sexual relations with. I hit her up because we've always been able to do that. Just keep in contact, just talk, just flirt, and keep it at that. So let's see here. Let me go over to Facebook. Let's see. Yeah.
I don't believe him. I don't believe him. No, I think he skewered the viscous innards. I think he did. I didn't like that explanation. I can't perform when stressed. Shit, that's when I perform the best. Under high intensity situations. You know what I'm saying? I just came back from war. in the front door. You understand me? The exchange of buns for guns. You understand me? Work the stress up off of me. You understand me? I don't know. I've never been married, so what do I know? Maybe it's a different level of stress.
I want to be clear. She's not innocent. But I'm not a big fan of blaming people for possibly having ill intentions or whatever. Whenever you're the person who put them in a position, when you're the person who opened the door to them. There's a million people out there who may have bad intentions. Hers being bad, I can't necessarily say they're good if she's taking pictures, with my back, but that's beside the point. At the end of the day, each one of us, especially if you're in a committed relationship, if you're separated during a marriage, you're the common denominator. You're the gatekeeper. So let me be very clear. Derrick is not a victim. Derrick wasn't tricked, whether preyed on or not. Derrick wasn't basically, forced into anything. That's not what happened here. Derrick was in the place of screw this, it's over as far as the marriage, but screw this in terms of doing things God's way. And that's where Derrick was acting from. Derrick's no victim. Let me be very, very clear about that. Somebody said, why do you feel the need to explain yourself? Well, let me be very clear. It's not so much explaining myself. what I'm trying to do is let everybody know, one, not only why I wrote this book, but hopefully letting you know that you cannot rely on your own feelings, your own intellect, your own way of doing things if you're trying to be successful with anything God is involved in. So a marital covenant, you can't go into a marital covenant, and this is my experience, this is my testimony. You can't go into a marital covenant thinking you're going to do it strictly off emotion, off your intellect. That's
not
even
answering.
Somebody that has all the intellect in the world. At some point, you're going to fall. It's faulty ground to stand on, thinking you can do this all by yourself.
It's not
you
answering the
definitely
question.
can't do it based on your heart. The Bible talks about the heart being deceptive for a reason. You can't do it based on emotions. You can't do it based on your perception. So if you read this book, for anybody who's already read it, you can vouch for it in the comments. The whole book talks about how you have to come under the submission of God. You have to do things God's way. You can't half do it, kind of do it, sort of do it, in your own time do it.
It's not answering.
You have to do things the kingdom way.
Let me give you his answer, which would have been the more authentic answer, is because it directly and readily impacts his business, his ability to attract and retain customers. That's why he has to come, because this is a forever tarnish on his brand if he doesn't throw up more information in order to dissuade the audience from believing the accuser. That's the reason.
Let's see here.
This is
So
really
somebody
interesting.
talking about restarting the router. Can I restart it?
You got all that money. You
Oh, it's
can't get a
little
good
glitchy
camera.
right now. Denise says, I'm glad that you put God as a
Is wife gonna come in?
Denise says, oh, you watching?
She needs to
Denise
come in.
says, I'm glad that you put God as the head of your life. Now he will lead you in the right path. Everyone makes mistakes and God has forgiven you. Absolutely. All right. So I think that's about all. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. I might, because I wasn't able to go live on Instagram, I might just do a live chat on Instagram or follow up on Twitter. If y'all want that, let me know. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Y'all be good. Peace.
All right, that is the end of it. So, I mean, you guys see it here. A lot of you guys probably seen it here first. He went over a lot in that, right? And I feel like it was appropriate to wait until his response in order to give an official assessment and or diagnosis. I think, like, at the end of the day, will it impact his brand significantly? I don't think so. I think people will forget about it in short time, in due time. However, the question is, has he done enough? I think he needs to have his wife speak, in my opinion, right? I think it's let this information out, see where the business is going, see how the numbers are doing, is the book sales increasing? Is it because, bad attention as well can be very profitable for influencers as well, right? So see what's happening. And if there's still a steady decrease, well, then you got to pull in plan B. You got to get the wife on camera. You got to get the wife on camera to corroborate everything. Yes, it was such a bad marriage. I was ignoring the shit out of him. I didn't even know how he didn't cheat on me multiple times with at least 20 women because of the way that I was treating him. I mean, she has to, you guys got to link up like the Avengers and join forces with the story. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, if the numbers are going down, it could be a relatively permanent and fatal hit to the business. Guys, I know this has been a longer video, but I thought that it'd be appropriate to go through the whole thing to do my formal assessment. But if you here with me to this point, that's how I know that you really bang with me. You understand what I'm saying? So I appreciate you. You understand? Questions, comments, concerns. Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. Guys, feel free to follow me on my Instagram. Down in the description box down below, you will find a link Also, too, the Prince of All saying hoodies in the building. I'll leave a link to that down in the description box down below as well. And I got a Patreon. We over 600 members strong, 600 members in the building. Feel free to click on the link down there as well to go up there and to see everything that is in store, all of the benefits that are in store. Just as I said before, you know, what I see here is 83% authenticity and the rest is saving face. I mean, it is what it is. Things like this happen. If you expose yourself to risk, at some point, it might bite you in the behind. All right? Until next time, you two. Peace!